Alright, so we're going to set up the generic TradingView template. So we'll go to My Strategies, and we will scroll down until we find the generic TradingView template. It's nice and colorful. Here it is right here. If we just press copy and then press yes, this will copy it and bring us over to the My Strategy screen. Give it a second to load. Alright, so now we're here at the My Strategy screen, and I see my new template. I'll hit edit, and this will bring us to the strategy setup. So the strategy setup is actually going to walk us through setting up our strategy and our alerts. So if we click do it now, it's going to ask us what exchange we want, so we'll do that. If you haven't set one up, you do that in the settings screen. And then you can select your symbol. I'm going to go with BAT today, and then I'm going to click continue. So here it'll show us the one alert that we need to set up for this strategy, and this is just a very simple alert that I set up for it holds a long and short TPSL. And then it also just works off of the straight strategy system that TradingView has. So normally you would come in here, you would say alert instructions, you would copy this and create a new TradingView template. However, TradingView alert. However, what we want to do is we want to edit this because we may not have these plot names. So these plot names I just put in from another TradingView strategy. You may want to change these. So if we hit back, we can hit all done, and we're set up as far as our symbol and exchange goes. Now we need to set up our alerts. So if we go to the alert tab at the top right, you can see that we have our TradingView strategy, and we'll go ahead and hit edit on that. So the TradingView strategy alert has this information in it. So each of these is a piece of information that we can later use in our rules or our configuration when we're setting up our take profit or whatever we need. So this allows us to take in information as an alert and then use these pieces of data later. So what we can see here is that I have my type set to the action, which is the strategy order side, and that's going to send buy and sell. The reason I actually know that is because if you go to Google and you type in TradingView variables, you'll find not this one, this one, how to use a variable value and alert. And this actually goes through all of the different built-in alerts that are in TradingView, and I chose this one, strategy order action, and that's going to return buy and sell. So what I'm doing here is I'm creating a type value, and this is either going to be buy or sell because I selected my TradingView variable. I made this a dynamic field, and then I selected TradingView variable, and then I selected from this list. So these are all the different variables, and these match what you can find here. Okay, so if we select that, we can also set up our symbol, and then market position. This is going to tell us if we're long or short. This is again part of the TradingView variables, and this helps us determine if I'm doing a buy and I'm a long, then I know I'm supposed to be entering. If I'm doing a buy and I'm in a sell, then I know that that's an exit, right? So that's how TradingView sort of keeps track of that. So that's how I set that up. Now, when it comes to creating your other plots, it's really up to you. So the last 4 lines here are me setting up a plot name in TradingView, and I sort of showed you how to do that a second ago. If we go to TradingView and we go to a chart, we can have our indicators loaded on charts, and we can go to the data window tab in the right toolbar, and it'll open the data window. So each of these has, the data window has a couple different headers on it. Each of the headers are your strategies, okay, and everything below the headers are plot names. So these are all plots that are in these strategies, and you could normally, the best way to do this is to just look at the data window, figure out what you want to use, and use the plot name, right? And so you would come over to the alert builder, you would say TV plot name, and you would just type in your name that you saw on the data window. Now, if you're comfortable using plot numbers, or you know your number, you can select TV plot number, and you can say plot 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe they allow you to have like 19 plots or 20 plots or something like that. So you're able to do that. So in your case, Scooby, you would do like plot 3 or plot 4 there, and that's how you would set up your long TP or long SL. So at that point, one other thing I'll call your attention to is that you'll see that my type is a string, and that's because it's sending the word by. So string is like numbers, letters, alphanumeric. I should actually make this alphanumeric, and I have in some places, but I need to change it. So string right here means words, right? Number is obviously a number. It's fairly important that if you're sending like long TP or something like that, or a price, that you make it a number, and you can choose that right here. If you make it a number, you can do math on it. You can do greater than, less than, that sort of stuff. If it's not a number, you can't do those things. So if you ever find yourself like, hey, I made this thing, but it won't let me, add to it, or I can't do greater than, it's because it's not a number. And you just need to change that right there. So these are our alert fields. I can set up my alert, and then I can click the alert message right here to copy it, and I would go into TradingView. I would click the alerts right here, create a new alert. I would select whatever indicator I'm using, and normally with these it'll look somewhat like none of these. When you use a strategy, it doesn't pop up all these boxes. It just sort of goes away, because strategies take care of themselves. And then you would just pop this message in here that you copied. And the last thing you need to do, very important, is to copy this webhook URL. So you click this right here, and then you pop that right in there. You could name this, say my alert, and then hit create, and it'll pop up right there. So that's about it on how you set that up. Any questions, Scooby?
Yeah, that's great, thank you. I was just wondering, when you add can you base another plot off in there? Could you base, so if I have my long TP as plot 3, could I base then another take profit that's perhaps like 50% my position off that information that it receives in there somehow?
Yes, very good question.
Come from the strategy? Does it have to come from the strategy, or can it be generated through this?
It can be added through this. So it doesn't. You can do more than what the strategy is doing in TradingView. You can do stuff on top of that. That's the whole point. So that's a very good question, and an awesome example to show. So let's say that I want to. Let's say that my TP is coming in, and it's only sending one. And let's say I want to make 2 of them, right? So that's a great example. So we'll hit save, and we'll come over to the edit screen. Or actually, before I do that, I'm going to go over to the variable screen. Okay, so the variable screen actually allows you to create variables, little pieces of information that you can save and remember for later. This allows you to remember stuff from past bars, or even allows you to create more data so that you can do math and all that sort of stuff. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to hit add, and I'm going to name this my I'll just call it my TP2 price. Okay, so this is my TP2 price. I'm going to make this a number, as I said before. Kind of important that it's a number because we're going to do math with it. And that's all I need to do. I'll hit the check mark, and now I have a brand new variable. So if we go over to the edit screen, here's how we're going to take care of this. What we need to do is when you get your alert in, it's going to run these variables. It's going to run these rules. So each of these is a rule block. Okay, and if you're not in a trade, it runs the blue rules, and if you are in a trade, it runs the orange rules. So the entry rules, these blue rules, are what is responsible for actually placing in a trade and entering a trade. Okay, and so you can see here that I'm listening for a buy long, and that's going to make me enter a long, and I'm also listening for a short sell, and that's going to make me enter a sell. And in fact, I just realized an error here. I'm going to have to update this because there needs to be one extra step in here. It needs to be a strategy side, and this is actually a great lesson to learn. So what I'm doing here is I'm adding another action to the rule. And the way that rules work is it's conditions and actions. So it's like, if this is true, and this is true, and this is true, then go ahead and do all of these actions, right? So that's all we're saying here. It's fairly simple. But with that, you can do some powerful things. So if I say side, and I say buy and sell. Okay, so what I've just done is I have two different rules here, long enter and short enter. And I just showed you how it's taking information from the custom alert, it's comparing the type field that we saw earlier and the market position field, and it's making sure that it's a long and a buy, and that's going to enter a position. But here's the thing. The way that strategies work in TradeLab, they're almost like your own personal traders. So you send this strategy, this guy, out for a job, and he's going to make a trade. Okay? When he opens the trade, he's going to switch from running these rules to running these rules. And he's going to stay with that trade the whole time, and he's going to monitor that. So he's going to go from a looking for entry status to a looking for exit status. You get what I'm saying? So he's actually following along with the trade. And what that means is he can only be on one side at one time. So a strategy is typically meant to either be a buy strategy or a sell strategy, a long or a short strategy. But with TradeLab, we can also create combo strategies where it'll actually do long and short within the same strategy. And that's what this is an example of. Okay, so we have long and short in here, and what I actually neglected to do was to create an action to actually flip that. So if you look at the trade settings up here, you'll see that it says side. This is like a property of the strategy, right? This is like part of the strategy. If you scroll down here and look at the rule that I'm creating, I've actually created a set rule, so I can set a piece of data. So what data do I want to set? Well, I could set a variable or something like that, or I could set a property on the strategy. This side right here is the exact same side as up here. And so what I'm doing is I'm actually changing this on the fly when I hear my alert. So right now this says buy up there, but if I send it a sell alert, this will automatically change to sell. Right? And so what I want to do is when I hear my sell alert, I want to make sure that my side is set to sell, and then I'll go ahead and place my order, and that will place a short order. And if I did this, it would place a long order. Right? So glad I caught that, and I'll make sure to edit that in the template there. But while we're on the subject, this plays into your question as to how do I make another line. What we want to do is we want to fill the variable that we made a little bit ago with the information that TradingView is sending. Okay, and so TradingView is going to send us a take profit line, And what we want to do is set our variable to that. So we'll create a set. Okay, so I'll hit plus, and we created a set. And then I'll go to strategy variables, and the variable that I want to set is my TP2 price. Okay. Now here what I'll do is I want to set this. Now I don't want to set it to like 5, right? I want to set it to my alert. So to do that, I would check the reference field box. So instead of this being like a number field, I can check this and it turns into a drop down. And now I can type in long TP. Now remember, long TP is what I called my field, right, in my alert. So if I go back to my alerts, the reason it's called long TP is because this says long TP right here. So these are the names that show up in that alert builder when I'm, or sorry, in that rule builder. When I'm building all my rules, these are the names that show up. Okay. So if we go to edit, and we can see that I'm setting my strategy variable TP2 price to the long TP. Okay, so now what I want to do, these are the same, but now I want to make this bigger. Now I'm doing this for a long, and I know that my TP is greater than my entry price, right? So if I want to make a TP that's higher or greater, then I would want to add to it, right? So I would say, I would make one more, I hit the plus button again, and then I would click add, and I would say I want to add to my strategy variable TP2 price. Now how much do I want to add? Now this is really up to you. Now this is going to be the raw price. I'm assuming that that's what your TradingView strategy is sending. Your TradingView strategy could send like 5 for 5%. Maybe it does that, and that would be fine. We can handle that. I'll show you that in a second. But normally it would be sending like an exact price, like 44,000 something, right? So if that's the case, you would need to come up with a way to either say, hey, I want to do, another $20 or 20, 200, whatever, or we can get more mathematical, right? So we can say, okay, I want to do a percentage of this, and to do that, you would say, okay, you want to divide it by a certain percent and then multiply it by 100, right, to get the percentage, right? So you would say, okay, if I want to do, what's that?
How would I do just like 50% of that information, like the TP2 at 50% of the TP long.
Okay, good. Yeah, so good example. So let's do this. So if I have a TP2 price and it needs to be 50% higher than, so what I need to do is I need to find
50% less, so like half of the
right, half of it. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
So what we would do is you often need to do this sometimes. I have my TP2 price. This is what I'm going to finally use and set, right? This is what I need. But in order to do this little bit of math, I'm going to need one more variable just to like do some math in. So I'm going to call this TP math, okay? And I'll show you what I mean by that here in just a second. So I'll make this a number, make sure it's a number. So the way that we do math here, we say, okay, I want to, whatever is up top is what's getting set. Okay, so if I want to say, I want to set my math, actually we'll do this. We'll set our math, well, we need to do them both actually. So we're going to set our TP2 price to long TP, and then we're going to set our math to long TP as well. Okay, And so now what we want to do is we want to, so our TP math is long TP, and it's the same as long TP. And so now what we want to do is we want to take let's see. Actually, no. We want to set TP math to our current price. So if we set TP math to our current price, that's going to tell us, you know, where we're going to enter, where we currently are. And then if we say subtract, we're going to subtract. Well, if I'm doing a long, see, that's what I'm fighting with myself. Sorry, long and short math is opposite. So we do want to do long TP because long TP is going to be higher, right? It's going to be higher because it's a long. So then we'll do strategy variables. We'll subtract from TP math. We're going to subtract current price. Okay, you see what I'm doing? So I'm setting TP math to my, and actually I'm not even sure that I really needed, well yeah I did. So this is creating an offset. So TP math is set to my long TP, and now I have my current price and I'm subtracting that. So now all I have is the difference between the current price and the TP. Okay, so this is the difference, and now I'll add one more. And I'll say I want to take my TP math and divide it by, so TP math divided by 2, right? And so now it's half, right? And so then I grab my strategy. Actually, see, I knew I was wrong. This has got to be set to current, or no, it's got to be set to long TP because we want to add to it. Yeah, I was right. Okay, so then if we do add, we do strategy variables and TP2 price, and we want to add TP math. I should have called this like TP offset, right? But you see what I did there. So it took us a couple steps, right? And I am improving the math and all of that. So this is a good example of I should put some sort of like percentage of in here, right? So so I would try to do like these steps for you, right? So I'll see if I can make that easier. But this is a great example of what this system is all about. I'm trying to make it simple, but it's a very complicated and powerful system. It's actually fairly simple. Like I said, it's just if statements, right? If this, then do this, right? But it is complicated in the sense that, you know, I'm sitting around here doing math and doing all this other stuff. But what I'm trying to show you is there's a lot of stuff in here that I'm putting simple layers on to make it nice and easy. But for the stuff that I haven't gotten to, some things that I haven't even thought of yet, you can still do it. It might take a little bit of learning. There might be a little bit of a learning curve, but once you get used to it, you'll be doing stuff that I haven't even thought of, and then you'll be like, hey, I'm doing this a lot, and it's annoying because I have to go through 20 steps. Can you make this simpler? And then I'll make it simple, right? But this just shows right here, you know, percentage of, we can do it without an action, you know, without an action specified for it. We can just do the math ourselves. So wait, I'll stop right here. Any questions? How do you feel about that?
No, that's great. So that's created a first take profit point at 50% of the final one, TP long.
So this actually created it at 50% higher than, now if you wanted to create it at 50%, then you would change this right here to current price. Right? So we start TP2 price at current price. We calculate our offset at half of the amount of the current TP, and then we add TP or that offset to the TP2 price. And if TP2 price starts at current price, then it will be in the middle, right? And if it starts at long TP, then it will be 50% higher than the current. Does that make sense? What I meant by middle was in the middle of the entry price and the current TP. So it'll be exactly in the middle of the entry price and the current TP. 50%.
We'll look forward to playing around with that anyway. Yeah, it's very, looks, I can see what you mean. It's very powerful.
Yeah. So one last step to complete our little journey here. Obviously, you would want to do all of this, but backwards for your short. And really the only thing that's backwards is you would want to add here and subtract here, right? So you would flip those around for your short. So once you have those set up, then you would come into configure TPSL. So this is where the rubber meets the road, right? So you actually want to set 2 lines. Right now, we have it set to create 1 line. So we would want to set up 1 more line. So we would say add lines. I would want to create a take profit. How many do I want to make? I'll just make 1. 1 more. Okay, and where do I want to place the line? Well, we can set this as dynamic, and we can select our TP2 price. So this will be the exact price that I want to set it at. So I'll select USD exact price. So that's how we set that. We'll click next. When the line is hit, what do you want to do? I want to take profit. Add to position is very useful for DCA, but we can do take profit here. How much do you want to take? So if you wanted to take, say, 50% of the position, you could do that. 50% of the position is 50% of the current position. So if I take 50% of the position twice, I will be left with 25%, not 0. 50 and 50. Okay, 50 becomes 100, and then 50 of that 100, right? 50 of that 50. If you do percentage of original amount, and I take 50 twice, then it's all gone. Okay, so that's the difference between those two. I always like to do percentage of original amount. Like if I have multiple take profits, I'll do the first, like say I have 3, I'll do the first 2 as original amount. And then when I do the last one, I'll do percentage of position, and I'll do 100%. So that it's a complete close, right? If you do, say, 20, 20, and then try to close 60, well, if one of the 20s didn't get fully filled, then you'll have some stragglers behind. You see what I mean? But if you always close 100% of the position, you won't have that problem. So anyway, we'll do 50% of the position, whatever we want. You could actually send this in as a variable, as an alert or whatever you wanted to do. But we'll say 50% of the position. Say next. What type of order do you want to place? We'll place a limit order for my take line, and we'll say this take line 2. And now I have take line and take line 2. And this is going to be at TP, long TP, and this is going to be at TP2 price. And that's it. We are completely finished. You would be able to save, and you'd be running. So you hit save and exit. And then you'd see this switch over to, there it is, switch over to looking for entry. It's running. My symbol's there now for BAT, and we're ready to go.
Great, thank you, Jack.